Logitech. This right here is the Logitech MX Master Mouse 2S, and it's a seriously awesome mouse. It's got all these crazy features in here that you really don't expect in a mouse, and it's just a really nice experience. So let's get started. Alright, so let's talk about the design of this. It's really cool. It's almost like a car. It's like super aerodynamic. It's got this really nice look on the edges here with this cool little polygons going around here. It looks really cool. Weird thing is they showed off this video and they actually had like somebody carving it out of wood. It just seems so much like a car, like when you see it in like a wind tunnel and stuff when they're testing that out. It's super cool. But yeah, maybe it's a little bit extra, but this thing fits really nicely in the hand. It's just kind of, your hand just kind of rests on top of it, and all the buttons feel very accessible. Sometimes with extra buttons, you have this feeling that you just can't reach it correctly. But this mouse has been designed specifically so that your hand fits just over it. So it's a really fantastic mouse, and it looks really good. Now, one thing it does come with is these little three things on the bottom here. Basically what you can do is you can just press this little button and it'll switch between multiple computers, which is really cool, but they have a software part of it which is technically supposed to switch between computers automatically, and it just never works. So software side, that just don't even bother. It's probably not going to work. If it does, good for you. For me, no luck. But here's the thing. This thing is able to store 3 different computers on it. And when you press that little button, you can switch between the computers and it'll connect to that regardless of whether you're using the little receiver or you're using the Bluetooth functionality. And it does work well with the Mac, except that if you're using Boot Camp, it's going to be a little bit messy. You have to search around the threads online, and they do have a little bit of a solution. It's really messed up, but it works for the most part if you're not doing crazy stuff like that. Alright, so in terms of the battery life, well, it's really good. It's a rechargeable battery in here, so you have a little USB port right here, a micro USB port where you can plug it in and it will charge. You can charge it while using it, so unlike some mice, this works fine. And it lasts for about a month or 2, maybe more, depending on how much you're going to use it, so battery life is definitely not a problem with this mouse. Alright, so in terms of the features, this thing's completely packed with ridiculous amount of buttons and weird features that you don't really find on most mice. First off, on the side you have 2 extra buttons, which is very standard on mice these days, but you also get a horizontal scroll wheel, which actually works really well, especially on Mac OS. On Mac OS you have touchpad gestures, and this thing can simulate those touchpad gestures by saying page back or page forward. So on Safari, when you swipe back, you'd normally go back, but on this mouse you can just horizontal scroll and it'll also do the same thing, which is really cool. Moving forward to the front part here, it's got obviously the right click and left click just as every other mouse out there, but this also has a really nice scroll wheel. So the scroll wheel normally is the ratcheted kind where you feel the little click every time you scroll, but you can switch it by pressing this little button right here. And once you press it, what will happen is the scroll wheel will turn into free flow mode. So it will just literally spin forever. It's really cool. And the software controls it. So you could just spin really hard on it and it will automatically figure it out, which is really cool. This mouse in general feels fantastic. The scroll wheel on the right or on the left rather, it has a nice feel to it. It's not too fast so that you don't feel like you're losing control. And the software is able to really optimize the feel of this. Alright, so in terms of actually using this mouse, it's fantastic for productivity work. For any sort of thing like video editing, photo editing, it's really nice, especially because of that horizontal scroll. You actually don't realize how much you like it until you start using it in things like your timeline on a video, or if you're in a big picture, if you zoomed in, you can scroll sideways and vertically at the same time. It's really cool. But the things kind of fall apart when you come to gaming, because this scroll wheel at the top here is really meant for productivity. And the way Windows has set it up is that you have multiple ticks. So if you scroll once, it's going to be equal to scrolling 3 times technically. So that's the default, I think. But you can set it higher or less based on how much you want to scroll at a time. What that means is that if you're on a game and you're trying to switch a weapon, you're going to be switching 5 times, so it's going to go crazy. You can change that, obviously, in the software, but the Logitech software itself is a bit of a mess, and you're not going to be changing it every time, so it's definitely painful for gaming. Okay, so before I get out of here, this mouse is definitely going to be somewhere around a 7 out of 10. It's a fantastic mouse, but the software definitely falls apart when it comes to gaming. I haven't really been able to configure this mouse in a way where it actually feels natural to me, but honestly, the versatility of it and just the fact that it has a receiver and Bluetooth is fantastic. That means you can use it pretty much on any computer, and you can use it on 3 right now if you wanted to, which is really, really cool. So yeah, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Make sure to like and subscribe and do all that fancy stuff, and yeah, I'll catch you in the next video.